You want me to restart? Okay, here we go again with the mic. Okay, good morning and welcome to the Committee of Adjustment hearings for Rural Panel 3. We are a City of Ottawa quasi-judicial tribunal that holds public hearings to consider Planning Act applications, including minor variances and consents to sever land. Our hearings are now in person at Ben Franklin Place, 101 Centrepoint Drive. We also enable remote participation by video conferencing for our registered speakers. We are live streaming on YouTube and the video will be archived and available for future viewing by the public. My name is Jocelyn Chandler. I'll be chairing today's hearings and you can address me by my name or as chair. With me are my fellow panel members, Martin Vervoet and Terry Otto. The procedure for the hearing will be as follows. Listed on the agenda and on the screen are the applications we'll hear today. For efficiency, I'm going to reorder them. Panel members have reviewed the planning reports and any written submissions, and today we'll hear any oral submissions. As part of the public notification requirements, each applicant was required to post a sign on the property before the hearing and confirm in writing. If they did not provide us with a written declaration, they'll need to swear or affirm an oath today that they have done so. Without this declaration, we will have to adjourn or postpone the hearing. The panel may ask for a brief presentation of the application, followed by questions for the applicant and city planning staff. We will then hear from any members of the public who have registered to speak. And finally, the applicant will have an opportunity to make any last comments. Please address your comments to me, starting with your name and provide your municipal address for the record. All presentations are limited to 5 minutes. Any exceptions will be at my discretion. At the end of the hearing, the panel may either make an oral decision or we may reserve our decision, which means it won't be delivered today. In either case, within 10 days, the Committee of Adjustment will send the official written decision with reasons to all the participants and anyone else who has requested a copy. Are there any questions about the procedure today? All right, we're good. Okay, we need to deal with some preliminary and procedural matters. We have, are there any declarations of interest? No. Okay. And confirmation of minutes from the September 5th, 2003 hearing and the September 19th, 2003 hearing. 2023. That's what I meant to say. Okay, September 5th and September 19th, 2023. Approved? Yes. Approved? Okay. The applications, we will hear adjournment requests first. The first adjournment request is for application number 2. That's at 11 Tradesman Road. And I'm expecting the agent Thomas Freeman here and planning staff Jack Graham.
Good morning, Chair. Sorry, I was just being brought in as a panelist.
That's fine. If you can just give me a minute. Planning staff are expected remotely. There we go.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Graham. Okay, this is a request for an adjournment by the agent. Mr. Freeman, would you like to speak to this?
Yes, our client, we originally requested an adjournment on September 5th. Our client would like to request a further adjournment to assess the hydrogeological features on site. Given that I do not have given that we did not meet our original adjournment request and that I don't have an accurate timeline of this work, we'd like to request an adjournment sine die.
Okay, Mr. Graham, do you have any concerns with this request?
Planning has no concerns with that request.
Comments from the panel? Okay, any further comments from external parties? None? Okay, adjournment sine die for 11 Tradesman Road. Good. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Freeman.
Thank you, Chair.
We will go to the second adjournment request, which is item number 3 at 6 White Cedar. Agent Jay Renault and Jack Graham, planning staff.
Chair,
Hello, Mr. Renault.
good morning, Chair, committee members.
Okay, planning staff is requesting a further adjournment of this application. Mr. Graham, would you like to explain your request?
Thank you, Chair. So we've had some back and forth with the applicant on this application. The concerns that we initially had have not yet been addressed, to my understanding. I've connected the applicant with the zoning plans examiner directly to hopefully rectify those concerns. Planning had concerns that the minor variance or the permission application would not cover the building permit, and that the exterior wall height factor had to be addressed. Some revised designs have come in, but at this point, planning is still concerned that it would not meet zoning as is. Building code has further concerns that the structure is intended to be a coach house, and an existing structure that is not in the rear yard to be converted into coach house cannot have an enlargement of the building envelope as this project would. So if it is indeed a coach house, then the enlargement would not be permitted. So we need further confirmation that the intention is not to be a coach house, and the exterior wall height needs to be addressed either via revised designs or via an additional minor variance application.
Would, if it is a coach house, would an additional minor variance address the concerns related to that also?
A minor variance could be sought, but an additional minor variance would be required, and that would require recirculation and further evaluation.
And does the city still have concerns regarding the right-of-way access?
With the condition imposed, staff have no concerns about the right-of-way issues.
Okay, Mr. Renault.
Chair, so prior to discussing the next adjournments, I'd like to discuss a few other issues with this. Now that this is the third committee hearing that we've been a part of, and representing our clients and everything else, I believe that we are wasting a lot of committee time with the additional concerns that keep being added onto this proposed project. If there's any other concerns that any of the planners have, I would like that to be addressed now, so that the next round we don't have another, because I believe the first application, it was only a single minor variance was identified with the wall height. Then the second one was right away had an issue, and then that was mitigated. And now we are now approaching another one where they're concerned about the coach house, which was brought up in pre-consultation that it's not a coach house. The mechanical room is supporting pool mechanical, so filters and things like that. And there's a washroom inside the garage in the proposed project to service the pool for people to use without going in and out of the actual main residence. Further to that, I've met with bylaw, I've met with zoning, I've met with the planners, and I've met with building code services, and all of them could not define the issue with the actual wall height as it's separated from the vertical axis of the base wall, because as a shed dormer, it's inset 1 foot on each side, as well as inset 1 foot from the northern wall, which is of concern. That being said, there's nothing in Article 55 of the bylaws or anything from the zoning plans that can define what it is that a shed dormer would qualify as an issue to a vertical wall plane. That being said, I do support the adjournments, but I would like some form of resolution to be identified with a time factor, as this is becoming very frustrating for my clients.
Okay, is there anybody else who wanted to speak to this adjournment? Comments from the panel?
How much time?
Oh, well, okay, so ultimately, Mr. Renault, it would be great if you guys could solve this for once and for all. Planning staff have been asking for a sine die adjournment, which would mean that we wouldn't reschedule another hearing until everybody was ready to go. Fundamentally, with respect to what minor variances do you need whatever minor variances are required in order for building services to issue you a building permit. So this is a matter between yourself, building services, and Mr. Graham to come up with the ultimate minor variance that's required to permit your building.
Yes, Chair.
Do you have a time frame in mind?
Not particularly. I'm ready to present this case to anybody involved. I know, you know, Mr. Graham here has directed me towards another consultant in zoning. I have been engaging with her as well. So, you know, I think if we can have a meeting to resolve this, you know, we can make applicable changes and anything else to make this code compliant as well as the bylaw amendments.
Mr. Graham, your thoughts on a time frame in which this could perhaps be brought to a close?
Thank you, Chair. In terms of time frame, it seems like the applicant has been responding quickly, so I don't have concerns from the applicant's side. And our zoning plans examiner has been responsive to me, and so I do think it could be resolved relatively quickly. The only issue I foresee is if the additional variance is needed, then it will need to be recirculated. So if it can be solved without that additional variance, then it could potentially be heard at the next hearing. If the additional variance is needed, then it would need to be sent for recirculation.
Madam Chair,
Comments?
I'm just wondering if subject to comments from Mr. Renaud, if we put this over to November the 14th, that would give you a month to resolve whether or not that extra variance is needed. And then if it's not needed, we could proceed with the hearing at that time. And if it is needed, then we can recirculate. I don't know if that time frame works, but that seems reasonable to me, as it seems to be a bit of a complicated issue regarding this exterior wall, and that would give everybody enough time to clarify that issue, and then we can proceed.
Mr. Otto, thoughts? So, Mr. Renaud, November 14th would be rescheduled to that date, and we would either hear it or it would be we'd hear it and adjourn it for recirculation if you need additional minor variances.
That works, Madam Chair.
Mr. Graham, is that okay with you?
That's okay with us, yes.
Okay, you're good? Yep. Okay, this application will be adjourned till November 14th. Okay. Item number 5146 Carp Road. Agent Paul Robinson.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of committee.
Hello there. Do we have an oath? We have the oath on record. Okay. All right, Mr. Robinson, do you want to give us a brief summary of your application?
Sure. There is a presentation PowerPoint that was filed a couple of days ago. Thank you. So the application before you is at 5146 Carp Road for severance applications to create two new lots along the north side of the frontage of the property. Each of the to be severed lots are one is 1 hectare and one is 1.1 hectares. The retained parcel is 81 hectares. Next slide, please. So you can see on the left-hand side, the property is on the east side of Carp Road between Thomas Dolan Parkway and Kinburn Side Road. Then the image on the right-hand side shows the property outline in blue. It has RU zoning on the portion closest to Carp Road, and then EP3 zoning on the eastern portions of the property. The two parcels that are to be created are shown in a red dotted outline on the right-hand image, and they are north of the home at 5146 Carp Road. Next slide, please. This is a sketch plan done by the surveyor showing the two parts, parts 1 and 2. There is a home to the north, which is not owned by my client. There is a home to the south of the two parcels, which is 5146 Carp Road. The remaining parcel is shown in green. It's about 81 hectares of land in total. Next slide, please. So one of the conditions, and that's what I wanted to address the committee today, is I think there's some new wording in the conditions, because it used to say that you were to provide a road widening of a certain width if required. And now the words if required seem to be removed. This is the survey plan of the two parcels to be created. And on the left-hand side, we've magnified it. There's an existing 15 meters from the west edge of the northerly proposed property to the center line of the road. And then as you travel south across to the south portion of part 2, that dimension widens out to 15.6 meters. Then south of that is the existing home at 5146. And then if you could go to the next slide, please. This is a continuation. You can see highlighted, there's a 15.6 meter dimension, which would be from the north edge. That's at the north edge of the retained parcel. And then the retained parcel has got 324 meters of frontage. And there's already been 2 road widenings taken in the past. So we have 15.6 meters on the left-hand side. We go towards the right, which is to the south. It appears to me that the center line of the traveled road and the dimension that you can see of 324 meters appear to be parallel. So it appears as though it's going to be 15.6 meters or even greater as you continue south. So I don't see the need to have a road widening taken on parts 1 and 2, which are the parcels to be severed, or the retained parcel. And I'm looking for some modification in the wording, either to remove the requirement for any road widenings on the retained parcel, or to put the words if required into condition number 4. And I do have other slides in the presentation or photos of the property. So I'm available to answer any questions that the committee may have.
Thank you very much. Planning staff, Mr. Tieft.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So based on the condition, it would just be up to the city surveyor to approve whether or not the road widening has been met or not, which in this case, it looks like it has, but if you were to submit it in, it should be fairly straightforward to clear it. So we'd like to keep the condition in, but it looks like you're already there. So it should be fairly straightforward.
Do you have a particular reason why the wording if required has been removed?
I'm not particularly sure why that's not the case, but regardless, as I said, the condition should be fairly easy to meet.
I did look at the, obviously there's two other applications here before us today, which have been adjourned, and one of them, the severance application, I noticed it also did not have that wording. I don't know if it's a new policy. I think it would be just give us reassurance. Obviously, we've got all the conditions related to servicing and so forth, and the less conditions, the better. It's going to take quite a while to clear the conditions based on legal agreements being required. So we're just trying to look for some simplification. If the words if required could be put in, that would be great.
Okay, thank you. Did you have any other comments, Mr. Tieft?
No, we have no other concerns with the application as submitted.
Okay, Mississippi Valley Conservation Authority had no objections. Do we have any other parties who'd like to speak to this application?
Sorry, I didn't realize that I was supposed to register.
That's quite all right. If you'd like to come up and speak,
I'm so sorry.
provide us with your name.
Yeah, I'm Lucy Williamson.
Okay, come and have a seat.
Sorry, I didn't know that I was supposed to register.
So,
Okay, could you provide me with your name and your address?
yeah, my name is Lucy Williamson. And I'm at 5192 Carp Road. So I am on the same property. I am the retirement lot that they severed originally. purchased the house from David White. So way back in the day, they severed their property with a retirement lot and we purchased that from Dave White. So my concerns, I guess I just wanted to know was, you know, when we bought in the country, your lots were large. And now everybody's trying to sever their lots and put more on. I mean, I'm not opposed to having a house beside me, but two houses on the same property, it's, you know, they're making them small lots, which are then going to be two houses right beside me, right on the fence beside me. So I was wondering if they're allowed to do that, or do they have to have a certain amount of lot size in order to sever? I know that there was a house just down the road with a farm and a whole bunch of land. And when they did sever into three properties, their properties were very large to the left of the property. I know when the house across the road severed or tried to be severed, I think he was denied, and I am not sure about that, but he built a sort of like a garage or a barn on there. So I'm just wondering whether or not, like, going back to original purchases, are we now allowing everybody to sort of sever into small lots? Because it does impact me because I'm right beside.
Understood. I'm going to ask Mr. Teeft just to respond to there's a set of policies which the city has about where you can sever the zoning on the land and the size of the severances. And Mr. Teeft's job is to review that policy and make recommendations. So maybe Mr. Teeft could speak briefly to your question.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So basically, in the rural countryside, which this property is designated and zoned, our policies say that you are allowed to sever a maximum of 2 new lots off of the existing lot, given a few provisions. So those include that the severed lots are a minimum of 0.8 hectares, and that the retained lands are a minimum of 10 hectares. And you're permitted two lots as of May 2003, I believe. So anything that was done after that can preclude you from being able to sever new lots, but any lots that were created before that, which I believe yours was created before that date, then the two new lots are still allowed to be created there. So this is at the moment, this is all that is allowed to be severed off of that property.
So my original lot does not count then?
That's right.
Mr. Robinson, did you have any other clarification you wanted to provide?
Sure, thank you. As Mr. Teef said, the minimum lot size is 0.8 of a hectare, which is 2 acres. The minimum retained parcel is 10 hectares, which is about 25 acres. The parcels that are being severed are either 1 hectare or 1.1 hectares. So they're in excess of the minimum lot area. And the rear lot line of the new lots aligns itself with the rear lot line of the speaker's property north, and then lines itself up with the rear lot line of the property to the south. So they create a straight rear lot line edge, which is what was thought was the best way to sever these lands. As Mr. Teeft indicated, there was a date in May 2003 at which beyond that time, only 2 new lots can be created from an existing lot of record, and that is what we've done here. So it meets all the official plan policies. And as Mr. Teeft knows, it's just been in the last few weeks that there's been some wording in the official plan that has now all come into effect that allows these types of severances to proceed without planning department concerns. So we are fully compliant in terms of the official plan and the zoning for these properties. Thank you.
Does that answer your question, Ms. Williams?
Yeah, I guess that tells, you know, they're doing what they're allowed. Just doesn't, it's hard when it's right beside, you know, like they have 81 hectares and they build right at the edge where your property is. That's all.
Understood. Panel, Mr. Verwood, do you have any questions, comments?
No comments or concerns. I would note that the two lots being created are the same size as your lots, Mrs. Williamson. I think the application complies with the zoning bylaw and the official plan. I would add the wording, if required, to condition number 4 regarding the road widening. And subject to that, I would be in favor of the application.
Mr. Otto. Okay, so, any other comments? We're good? Okay. Those in favor of granting this consent with conditions, including number 4 with the wording, if required, that's the road widening condition. All in favor? Mr. Robinson, your application is granted.
Thank you and have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.
You.
Bye.
That would be the close of this hearing. Adjourned.